Likewise, I think Jordan Henderson is that when he plays in that position. Fabinho can, he does. He's more of a specialist, I would say. Henderson's obviously kind of out of position in that role, but he does it really well because he's a natural playmaking midfielder, isn't he? He likes to pass the ball, he likes to look forward, he's progressive, he's energetic, he has the determination, the tenacity. He's got a sort of mixture of everything, but he was never really that six. He played the eight pretty much his whole career. He started out as quite attacking, didn't he? In the old days, he was like a third man runner at Sunderland before he came to Liverpool. But then he's sort of done the rounds across the midfield. Now I think his best place is that sixth position. He's not a natural attacker. I think he's a lot better at positional play than he is at offensive playmaking. He's a good passer, but he's not a particularly inventive, creative passer. I don't think he's got the. Compare him to Harvey Elliott, for example. They were playing the same position for Liverpool, while Elliott is more of a forward. They played that same position. You could just see the difference in the qualities that each bring, the uniqueness that they have. Henderson isn't that player, and I felt perhaps I don't want to call it a blessing in disguise because you never want to miss one of your best players, but I felt perhaps because Fabinho was missing, it gave Henderson maybe it gave Klopp the chance to see that this is Henderson's position. They've had Milner there recently, and Milner's a better attacker than Henderson too. So for him to be in the midfield makes more sense um, than to have him in that deep line playmaker's role. It just really suited Henderson, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. I wouldn't say I was critical of him in those sort of that right-sided attacking midfield position, but I wasn't particularly impressed with him in that position. And that might be a bit unfair because I don't think he's suited to it. It made a lot of sense to me for him, and when Jones was playing on the left side, it made a lot of sense to me for them to swap. I thought put Jones in the attacking midfield, and then I thought, well, maybe that's probably Klopp's way of teaching Jones a lesson of getting Jones to play the more disciplined, more defensive role. And that's what management's about, of course. It's not always about putting everybody, you know, it's just not just about winning games. It's also about the development of players. It's about teaching lessons. It's about responsibilities and roles. There's a lot more going on than just put everybody where we think they're going to do well and win the game. Liverpool will for the most part, winning games anyway. And that's something I didn't quite understand. But I'm not the manager, so I don't really know. No, I couldn't say too much about it. But now that Henderson goes into the middle, Jones is injured, of course. So Milner came in. He played on the left side. Naby Keita played in that right position, but it was different this time. Keita wasn't this attacking midfielder um, that we saw Henderson play as. He just didn't do that. He was kind of he came in. They kind of overloaded that left side. Um, which allowed the right side to flourish a bit, I felt, and that's because Trent then pushes up. He only played for 66 minutes, Alexander-Arnold. I think he came off at 4-0 because he's just back from an injury. Um, it allowed that space to present itself, and this I felt was a tactical move from Liverpool. The midfield didn't provide that overload or that attacking sort of impetus. The midfield didn't do it on the right side as it had done in other games. It was instead Trent Arnold pushes up, and they overloaded the left, which was less involved but more focused and more numbers. Put the numbers on the left side, you've got space on the right side, so it makes sense. So I'll put up the Keita and Milner heat maps as well because you can see everybody sort of focused on that left side in the midfield. Other than Henderson, who from the six was kind of controlling the whole of the middle third, you'll see the difference. He had a really really good game, Jordan Henderson, and I think he deserves plenty of credit for that because he doesn't always get it. I find sometimes that the praise of Henderson tends to focus a bit too much on the captain, the psychological, the motivational side of things, and not on his technical ability. What we saw in the Watford game was a great example of what that technical ability is and where his strengths lie. It's not really fair to criticise him for something that he's not naturally sort of known for or good at doing. Likewise, James Milner, when he plays at right back or left back, as he has done for Liverpool recently, or for right back recently, but for the last few years at left back, he gets judged on that. What does he bring to the left back role? What does he do that Robertson does? What can he do that Alexander-Arnold does? Very different players. So again, it's difficult to criticise him for something that he's not naturally. That's not who he is. What we saw in this game was Milner back in the midfield, much, much, much better. Very combative, very composed, very tenacious in that composure. Just a very good player. He created, I think it was 4 chances. He got 1 assist. That was a lovely goal. That was for Firmino's first goal. It was absolutely excellent. He did an overlapping run. Andrew Robertson brand overlapping run, and we know Milner's got great vision. He sees passes. He's done that his whole career. He is just an assisting player. That's what he does. He's a great creator. So he created that goal pretty much with his running, with his pass at the end. It was a fantastic piece of football. So he deserves a lot of credit too. And I hope that all this talk about Liverpool depth kind of starts to die down because they've got great players. You've got Naby Keita, able to come on to replace Curtis Jones, a young kid who was injured on international duty. That then you've got depth. If you've got James Milner able to come from right back into the midfield and play well, you've got depth. If and then Jordan Henderson, who is the captain, he's probably going to play either way, but he's able to come in and fill in for one of the best players who's also missing in a position that's not really his. The six, while I say Henderson, I think is better there. That should be his position now, in my opinion. That's not him. That's not what he's known for. He would probably say he would rather play on the left or the right side of the six, which is where he would play, of course, if Fabinho was fit. But all of that points towards depth. It really does. Jota was on the bench. Did he come on? I'm not sure he did. I don't think he did. I probably should know. No, they didn't. So Nico Williams was a substitute. Let me have another look. Yeah, it was Kostas Tsimikas. He came on for Andrew Robertson. Yes, so Robertson and Trent were both brought off at 63, 64 minutes. That's really quite something for Klopp, isn't it? That was a fourth goal goes in. Let's get our two industrious wing backs off the pitch because they work their socks off, and they've got Champions League game coming up. They've got Man United coming up. Got big matches. So let's use the opportunity to rest them. And then again, depth. Nico Williams came on at right back. It was fine, got an assist, got a nice assist, in fact. And then there was Kostas Tsimikas, who came on at left back. We know he's been playing well when he was available this season. Came in and deputised for Robertson. Some people suggested he should have been playing instead of Robertson, which is nonsense. Robertson's far superior, far more important. But that is testament to the qualities of Kostas Tsimikas and also testament to the depth available at Liverpool. The players are there. Whether or not people want to rate those players is up to them. It's a matter of opinion, but it's difficult to criticise them when they perform. And we'll find that a well-balanced, well-settled, high-confidence side like Liverpool are currently will be able to replace players like for like and have lower quality players come in and do a job and perform, like we saw with Kostas Tsimikas, or like we saw James Milner played very well at right back for the most part. He struggled a little bit at Man City for different reasons, but I wouldn't say, as I mentioned last week, he didn't have a really bad game. He just struggled against a fantastic team. Before that, he was very, very good at right back. And that's because a good player can come in and play well. This is what we see at Liverpool all the time. Keita played very well in this game too. I've already mentioned James Milner. He had a great game. Henderson played. The players are performing. They're coming in and they're doing well. It doesn't mean that there's not place for more players at Liverpool. They are missing a couple. When you think about somebody like Shaqiri leaving, he was a first team squad player. I would say he was a senior. He left, wasn't replaced. Divock Origi just seems out of favour. He's never getting any minutes now. I think it's quite obvious that they're trying to actively get, to move him on. He those minutes that he would have played kind of need replacing. There are forwards that could be brought in that I agree with. Liverpool do need more cover in the attacking areas. Likes of Salah and Mane, I think, need to be rotated a little bit more, perhaps. But that doesn't mean right now they're not in a really strong position. It was never a desperate need for them to bring the sort of an attacking player in. If Harvey Elliott's fit, which I think he will be before too long, maybe there's not that much longer that he'll be out for. It wasn't as serious an injury as many people assumed. You've got a very strong attacker there. Curtis Jones is a strong attacking player. You've got Naby Keita can play the attacking midfield role very well if it's needed. It's they were never desperate, and there was this feeling of desperation towards the end of the transfer window that if Liverpool don't do this, then they're going to be in big trouble because the injuries are coming. Injuries are always coming for every team. It happens, you have to get very lucky to keep key players fit for the whole season. Liverpool perhaps were a bit unlucky. The likes of Keita's injury was really unlucky. That was him. He kicked the turf and jarred his ankle. Elliott injury that he got badly hurt by a wayward sort of dodgy tackle. I don't want to say it was a really bad one. I felt at the time it was bad, but having reflected on that, it wasn't deliberate. So it's just again bad luck, and this happens. So the injuries did come for Liverpool, and they didn't fall apart. It's not, there was never a desperate need there, and the reaction to Liverpool not moving in the market was one of panic and desperation, and the club never felt that. And this is, they didn't need to bring a player in because the players that left weren't important. Harry Wilson, Jadon Shaqiri, didn't, you can live without them. Divock Origi, you could live without him as long as somebody's there to fill those positions, and so far the people have been there, so it's not a problem. Would I expect more cover in January to arrive? I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if there was a move made in January for a young attacker, perhaps. It won't be a big money move, of course, but somebody wouldn't surprise me. You may even see one of the young players. Liverpool have got some very strong attacking players in the academy at the moment. Wouldn't be surprised to see maybe one of those can step up and deputise if the team's playing well. If they're confident, which they are, then suddenly you've got a great environment for somebody like a Mushilovsky or a Cade Gordon to come in and perform. So we don't know, but the depth is there. Right now, the depth is there. I didn't even mention Oxlade-Chamberlain. He came on for... Who did he come on for? Can't even see. He came on for Milner, was it? Yeah, he came on for... No, it was Nico Williams came on for Milner. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain actually came on for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Yeah, so what they moved Milner to right back. He played there for 20 minutes. Oxlade moved into the midfield. He did fine. Again, high quality player. I think he'll probably leave soon because he's not going to get the first team minutes at Liverpool. He suddenly found himself, quite far down the pecking order because he hasn't been great. We know he hasn't been great, but he's a good player and he's going to do well elsewhere, and he's going to do well, in the interim when he's coming on and just taking minutes for Liverpool. And he fills a hole. He's allowing for rotation. They made the 3 substitutions. What do we complain about there? They're 4-0 up, make the subs. Use the depth. They're still posting the players. The bench is still full up. They can still get them on the pitch. I didn't mention Kevin Kelleher, and that's testament to how solid he is, how fine he was. He came in for Alisson, one of Liverpool's best players. Kevin Kelleher is he's 22 years old, and he's deputising for Alisson Becker in the Premier League, and he comes in, he doesn't miss a beat. There's your depth. It's just such an overstated problem. It's just Liverpool are absolutely fine at the moment in terms of first team players, in terms of the second reserve, you might call them, the first backups, even in terms of the rest of the squad, sort of those filling in the gaps. Absolutely fine at the moment, and that's with injuries. That's with missing two of the deputies in the young players, in Elliott and in Jones. Fabinho missed the game. Alisson missed the game. Trent missed 3 games recently. I think it was 3. Robertson missed games at the start of the season. He was injured in pre-season. The injuries have been there, and yet Liverpool look absolutely fine. In fact, Liverpool look like they could go up another gear, I would say. Thiago's barely played. He was injured. He's one of Liverpool's best players, one of Europe's best players, and there hasn't even really been needed. This is depth. When you have the confidence, the coaching, and the core group, you can bring players out, move players in, you can switch things around, and often you'll find the performances are still there. Because the players perform well, suddenly the perception of them sort of changes. This, Nico Williams, for example, heavily criticised last season, completely unfairly, totally unfairly, taken out of the firing line a little bit, didn't play that much. He comes in here and he does absolutely fine. Nobody even notices him. But the quality's there. He's not Trent. He's not as good as Trent. Probably won't ever be. Probably doesn't need to ever be because Trent is young and he's going to have that position nailed for the next 10 years. But Nico comes in when he needs to and he does absolutely fine. And fine is enough. Fine is enough. You can't have two Trent Alexander-Arnolds fighting for a position. It just doesn't make any sense. You need to have a player that isn't going to play as often. This is the squad. And Liverpool it's just the problem that they don't have. I feel it's not a problem. Something they could improve, yes, but that doesn't make it a problem. So that's the Liverpool depth and Jordan Henderson. I just wanted to address that.
The Liverpod by the Tactical Times.